Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner. So today I'm going to be showing you the kiss stamping technique. It's very subtle on these cards, but I really think that it does add a beautiful effect to the base layers of the flowers that I've used it on. So I've created 3 cards and I'm going to show you how. So to start with, I'm going to be using the beautiful Bride to Be stamp set from Alter New, and it has all these beautiful different floral images down here, as well as this stamp set. I'm also going to be using the block print. So you could use any of these patterns if you wanted to, but I'm going to be using the beautiful, like the floral swirls in the corner. So firstly, I'm going to be using the blush on my base image, and I'm then going to kiss the stamp to the other one. I've uninked the other one, it's not inked, and it's just going to take some of the ink that's already on this image onto the other image. As it's left some of the ink on the other stamp, on the pattern stamp, you can see that it's given us a beautiful, beautiful, subtle effect on this image here. So again, I'm going to do this, and I do this a number of times. So you're going to ink the image up first that you want to use, and then stamp it off onto the pattern stamp, and then stamp it onto your project. So this time, for one of the smaller flowers, I'm using the Rouge ink. I used blush for the first one. This one is Rouge, and you can see the darker the ink, the more of the pattern shows through. So it's a little bit less subtle on the darker ink. So I'm going to keep going with this. I've stamped 3 of those flowers with the Rouge, and I'm then going to move on to some Ruby Red. And this is one of the smaller flowers. So as you can see, the ink on the other stamp, on the block print stamp, it has stayed on the stamp. So it's much more noticeable on the darker colours, and you can see exactly where you've stamped, because you don't really want to stamp over the bit that you've already stamped on the uninked stamp, just in case you do end up taking some of that ink back off. So I'm then going to stamp some of the stems. So this time I'm using some of the Industrial Diamond ink, and I've stamped a couple of those stems, and I've just done these normally because there's not enough room on these to give it a little bit of a pattern, but I have used it on the blossom. So this is the little blossom or the berries, and I've used some cotton candy ink for this. So I've inked it up. I'm using the ink, the uninked stamp again, to take some of that ink off to give me that swirly pattern in those berries. So again, for the leaves, I decided to keep these nice and simple and unkissed stamped. I am using the Silverstone ink for the base layers of these leaves, and to make it a little bit quicker, I've added 4 leaves onto one block just to stamp them all at once, and it did take a little less time to do it one by one. For the details on these leaves, I'm then going to use the Industrial Diamond ink again, and I'm just going to pop these in, and I did find it was easier to do it one by one this time. I'm then going to take the Rouge ink, and I'm going to stamp my little blossoms onto my twigs. So again, because I want the base layers of all the flowers to have that beautiful swirly pattern in, I am kiss stamping these. So I'm inking them up, popping them onto the uninked swirly stamp, and then stamping them into place on those twigs. I'm going to do it again for these little flowers here. Again, this is the Rouge ink, so ink up, pop down onto the uninked stamp, and then pop it into place. And I do love the effect on these. It's a little bit subtle, but it does give a beautiful, beautiful added detail to your images. For the rest of the details, again, I'm just going to stamp these normally as I would. So for the little ones, then I just use some Ruby Red, and then I'm going to go on to some of the small flowers that are in the set as well. Again, I'm kiss stamping these. I'm using some blush ink, then I'll be using some Rouge, and then I did some smaller ones as well using the Ruby Red ink as well. So you can see we're just inking them up, popping them onto the uninked stamp, kissing it, and then I'm going to stamp it onto my cardstock into place. As I said, I am going to pop the details in normally, so I've removed the block print stamp from my work surface, and I'm going to just add the details. So the ones that we're using the blush ink, I've added the details in with the Rouge. The flowers that were stamped in Rouge, originally I've used the details in the Ruby Red ink, and for these ones that we stamped with the Ruby Red, I'm going to be using some Grapevine to add the details there. For all of the centers, I did use some pure graphite ink just to make them pop a little bit more. Once all of my images are stamped and complete, I'm then going to take the coordinating die set. It has lots of dies in this set, and I'm just going to place these around all of the images, and I'm going to die cut them using my beautiful little mini blossom machine. So you might was wondering why my strips were so thin while I was stamping them. This was just because I could run it through my mini blossom, and I do have a lot of these strips cut to just under 3 inches, so it's quick and easy just to grab my mini blossom and run these through. Once I've done this, you can see the beautiful little die cuts that you're going to get with that little added detail of the kiss stamping. For my sentiment, I'm going to be using the flower arrangement die, and I'm going to be using the hello from this. I've cut this out 6 times, reason being, even though I'm making 3 cards, I did want my die cuts to be a little bit more sturdier than normal, just so it would sit properly on the bouquet once I did it at the end. So I'm just going to be using a little bit of liquid glue to pop these into place. So I'm just going to stack one on top of the other just to give me a more sturdy die cut rather than just a little flimsy one that I did have when I just cut the one of them. I was going to use one, and then I decided I want a little bit more sturdy, so I just cut another 3, and it does work out really, really well. So I'm just going to show you here, even though we've only got 2 stuck together, that it's a lot more sturdy than the one. So if I shake these, you can see that the one with 2 doesn't wobble, but the one with 1 does. For my background, I wanted to add a little bit of detail, so I'm going to be using the Dotted Scales Debossing cover die, and you can get 3 different looks with this. So you can have the scales going up, the scales going down, and if you do cut it twice, so cut it, flip it round, and then cut it again, you get these like little lemon oval shapes, which is really cool, and I love the effect, so I'm definitely going to use this one as well. So I have attached my backgrounds onto my card bases just using a little bit of glue tape. I'm then going to use all of my beautiful floral die cuts to arrange some beautiful bouquets on each of the cards. So as you can see, I kind of did it so they were all equal in the flower proportions, but then I went back onto the one with the flowers in the center, and I've added a couple of extra onto that one. Once I was happy with the arrangement, I then stuck them down using foam tape for the flowers and glue tape for the little berries and buds and leaves, just to give me added dimension that way. I'm then going to add my sentiments on. Again, I'm going to be using some liquid glue on the back of these, and because I'm using a little bit of liquid glue, it does take a little bit more time to dry. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to pop a little acrylic block into place, and that's going to keep it nice and flat while it does dry. So here are the cards complete. I really do love how they turned out, and that little added extra dimension, detail with the kiss stamping in the bases of the flowers makes it very pretty as well. I also do like this color combo. It's very classy and elegant, and also I think a little bit autumn because that is coming around as well. So there are the cards complete. I really do hope that you've enjoyed the video and that you like the technique, and also that you do give it a go. It would be great to see what you create using this technique. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you do want to watch any more videos, there's a couple more here that you can watch if you would like to. Also, if you don't want to miss out on anything that we do upload to the channel, it would be great if you do subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye-bye.